right, so let's take some questions from the audience. I think it's basically just line up at the mics and go for it.
Hi, Elon. Matthew. I wanted to ask, is there going to be a time, perhaps in the next 3 to 8 years, when Tesla is going to produce compact and or subcompact vehicles, such a huge segment, and it seems like that would be necessary to fulfill the master plan Part 2 mandate?
Yeah, I think we'll do a compact car in less than 5 years. Yeah. All right.
Hey, Elon. Yeah, great progress. You mentioned autopilot progress as well. So when do you expect fully enhanced autopilot functionality, like following navigation, switching freeways, within the 6-month time frame?
I was just testing that last night at about 1 a.m. I think we might be able to release something in a couple of months that can do that. We've been pursuing 2 paths. One really complicated path that I think isn't working that great, and then a simple path that I think will work pretty well. I mean, I was able to drive last night, go from highway on-ramp to highway off-ramp using the simplified version of the control system, and I think with some further effort, we can get that out in the next couple months. Yeah.
Is this on? There we go. So as far as Tesla Inc. is concerned with the Model 3, and to what degree of certainty, will there be a consumer or a fleet lease option within the next 3 years on the Model 3? Is that something that you guys already have in the plans, in the works, or is there room for ancillary business?
We will offer leasing on Model 3, but probably end of this year or early next, because it does have a slight impact on the capital usage of Tesla. In terms of fleet stuff, I think I think people can certainly buy a lot of Model 3s and then operate them as a fleet like people do for Model S's and X's for taxis. Yeah, I think we'd certainly be happy to support that. Yeah.
Kind of a simple follow-up to that, just kind of the understood thing. If I purchase a whole fleet and then Tesla comes in and says, all right, we're going to start leasing direct to the consumer or having a commercial option, that might not work out so well for me. But that's why I'm asking. Is it anything commercial happening that you have in the works in the next 2 years even?
Well, we don't really think, right now we're just super focused on ramping up manufacturing of Model 3 and making sure people can get their cars because they've been waiting for a couple of years. And we're not really thinking much about incremental demand generation because as it is, even getting to 5K cars per week, it would take us almost 2 years to produce enough cars to satisfy those that have put down a $1,000 deposit. So, yeah, we need to kind of ramp to 5K and then next year ramp to 10K a week and get the right-hand drive version done and homologate the car for Europe and Asia, and and then we'll think about other things once we've done all those things. Thank you.
Hi, Glenn Shotwell of SpaceX mentioned that Tesla automobiles might use in some way the Starlink satellite network. I was wondering if you might elaborate on that opportunity and when that might take place.
It's possible. I think it probably will be, the Starlink thing is more meant for like fixed terrestrial homes and businesses and that kind of thing. For mobile, It might be possible to use the Starlink system effectively if you had a repeater, ground-based repeater system. But the Starlink user terminal is about the size of a sort of small to medium-sized pizza. So I'm not sure you'd want to put that on the roof of the, of a Tesla. I mean, maybe, but I think probably just using, most likely we'll continue to use just Wi-Fi and the cellular network. Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Stephen Singleton, and my question is, how is Tesla engaging regarding virtual power stations with governments and territories and countries that may have weak power infrastructures to provide clean energy to more of the world's citizens?
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot more to say about that when we announce the Generation 3 of the superchargers, because that we'll be doing much more of an integrated solar battery system with the superchargers. So to date, only a few of the supercharger systems have solar and battery systems, but long term we want to have almost all of them have that. And the nice thing is that if you've got like a solar-powered, kind of like a solar-powered carport area and Tesla batteries, then even if the grid, you don't even need to be connected to the grid. So it's sort of like even, proof against like a zombie apocalypse, it should still work. As long as the zombies aren't too near to the supercharger, I suppose. But yeah, so it'll be able to work anywhere, even if there's not good power infrastructure.
He's also asking about like networking power walls together.
Oh, okay.
And for like a virtual power plant, if that's kind of what you also were alluding to, we do have a really cool project in Australia where we're actually networking together up to 50,000 individual homes with power walls. So each one of those homes has its own battery. It can still serve as like a backup power source if the utility totally goes out, if there's a storm. But when things are working normally, all those houses can talk together, and then we can talk to the utility and treat them as sort of one big distributed power plant. So that's a really cool project that has benefits across the whole grid for the homeowners, for a lot of people. And we're building that out right now, and we'll probably be expanding that same model. We have a small demo in the US, and we'll be expanding it worldwide.
Yeah. And we're also doing quite a lot in Puerto Rico. I think Tesla's more battery projects and solar projects in Puerto Rico than everyone else combined. So we're making a big difference there, doing our best to. And I think there's potential for kind of a virtual grid in Puerto Rico as well, rather than rebuilding a legacy, sort of oil and gas-based energy generation system.
Hey, Elon. I also think boring, boneheaded questions are not cool, so hopefully this is a little more interesting. I've had a Model S since 2012, best purchase ever.
Thank you.
You guys nailed design, nailed performance. The one thing I always get from friends and family, because I do the drive down to LA a lot, is the supercharging time. I know you mentioned you guys are working on Supercharger 3. I assume it's going to be a bit faster. Just curious, do you guys see room for kind of orders of magnitude improvement in charging time, or are we kind of reaching a plateau with current battery chemistry and technology?
I wouldn't say that there's an order of magnitude improvement, but I think a factor of 3 or 4 is possible. Now, it won't be applicable to all battery chemistries. So 2012 chemistry can't take the charge rate of current chemistry. And we wish it could, but we just had to make a bunch of improvements to increase the charge rate. The key, I think, figure of merit is that the ratio of drive time to charge time should be at least on the order of like 6-to-1, if not 8-to-1 or 10-to-1. At the point at which you're driving, say, 10 times as much as you're charging, then the natural sort of human need to take a break, unless you have an enormous bladder, it starts to become paramount. I mean, if you start a road trip at, say, 9 a.m., typically by around noon, you want to stop, hit the restroom, grab a bite to eat, grab a coffee, and then you want to get back to your car and have it be ready to go. So that's where if you say that's like maybe half an hour, that's kind of like the minimum threshold for the car to be ready to go when you come back from a break. And then if you get to the point where it's say 10 to 1, where maybe it's only 15, 20 minutes, or something on the order of 15 minutes, then the car is ready to go way before you're ready to go. And for some of the long distance, like if you get, say, a Model S 100D, you can drive nonstop from LA to San Francisco if you drive carefully. That's a long drive. So, and we think there's potential. There's certainly opportunity for range improvements down the road where we'll be able to offer cars with ranges in excess of 400 miles. So, thanks.
Hi, my name is Dr. Catherine Van Eckert and I'm with People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I have a question regarding your use of leather in your gear shifter and steering wheel.
Gear shifter?
Yeah.
No? A gear shifter I don't think has anything. Steering wheel maybe does, or... Okay, steering wheel still does. But, Francis...
Are you still using leather in some of your components?
So we do in Model S, X, and 3 currently. We have the only leather is on the steering wheel rim. And people have asked, and kind of off menu, we do replace that for people that need a fully vegan car.
Sure. So our concern is that, we're obviously facing an environmental crisis, and animal agriculture, as we all know, is one of the main contributors, particularly leather production. We're really pleased to see that you have introduced non-leather seating options, and that's a really fantastic step towards your goal of sustainability. We would really like you to take the next step and eliminate all leather components.
Yeah, I think S, X, and 3, we may be the first vehicles in production to kind of go non-leather, and at least in all of our seating and our trim, and we're actively working on replacing the steering wheel as well. We just want to make sure that the experience is as good, if not better.
Sure. Yeah, just to add to that, so there are some existing premium vegan leather suppliers, Ultra Suede and Alcantaras, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They're used by other luxury cars like Ferrari. So yeah, we would really like to see Tesla step up as well.
We'll definitely be offering sort of, as Fran says, technically, we don't say it on the website, but you can actually have a Tesla that has zero leather whatsoever, including on the steering wheel. It's a little difficult because we do it in small quantities at the design studio, so it's challenging to do it at scale. But Model Y, for example, will not have any leather in it, including in the steering wheel, even if it does have a steering wheel. Thank you.
When do you expect significant battery advances to allow Tesla to pack twice as much energy into each of the batteries without increasing the size or weight?
Twice as much is tricky, but we can certainly see a path to about a 30% improvement, maybe a 40% improvement in energy in the same size battery pack. That's technology we are confident does work, and it needs to be scaled up and made very reliable. But 30 to 40% is definitely doable. Long term, probably double. Long term by other people's standards. From a Tesla standpoint, we think probably 2 to 3 years to get to about a 30% improvement in volumetric energy density, and maybe 6 years or something, 6 to 8 years to get to a doubling. It's highly dependent on making lithium, for that really big jump, a lithium anode is the key. Just plating out pure lithium on the anode. Right.
I started a company called Tesla Attractions, Tesla Attractions is basically a gamification version of visiting superchargers. And I know that you tweeted about this a while ago, saying that it was a good idea. And if you ever decide to go through with it, obviously I do not want to be in a position of competition with you. So how could someone like me help the mission?
Now maybe we should interview a Tesla. And we're so our focus right now is getting through the critical stuff like, especially the Model 3 production ramp, and then smoothing out the production process to make the car affordable, getting the lower cost battery pack or smaller battery pack into production. So those are kind of critical, fundamental things to really the survival of the company. And then we can do kind of like the fun, frivolous things, but they add joy to the experience. Maybe later this year. I think we always like doing sort of fun, silly things in the car, like the Easter eggs. That there's like a lot of Easter eggs in the Model S and X and 3 that are quite fun. In fact, once they're discovered, they're put in the Easter egg box, which you can just tap the Tesla logo on the screen and then wait for about 30 seconds and it opens the Easter egg box. Yeah. All right.
My name is Bent Gerber. I'm hooked into Tesla in multiple ways. Obviously, I'm a stockholder. I have a solar city panel on my roof and also have a Model 3 reservation from March 31st of 2016 ready for configuring. But I would really, really, really like to have an all-wheel drive.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give an order of magnitude guess as to how long I'd have to wait for that?
Oh, you should receive a configuration email maybe in the next week or so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
How about
and we start production on all-wheel drive. Actually, technically, we're starting on production on all-wheel drive this month, and we expect to scale that up in July and August, and be in high volume production of all-wheel drive by September for sure.
So I have a tour planned for September, 1 month tour.
All right, we'll make sure you get
Any
your car.
chance I can make it?
Yes. We'll make sure you get your car. Thank you.
Hi, I got my first Model S in 2013 and have an X and a 3 now. I love the product. I feel like I'll always be one of the first to try one of your new products. And I was just wondering, is there any chance in the future that we'll be able to text commands to our car, like heat my car to this temperature, come pick me up, that type of stuff?
We're going to keep enhancing the Tesla app on the phone, and to be able to, long term, just tap the summon button and your car will come find you wherever you are. Really wanted to learn what you can change the temperature right now from the app, but we want the car to learn what you most likely would do. Like basically, if there was a great chauffeur in charge of the car, what would that person do? Anticipating your needs and knowing what you'd want. So it's sort of like an intuitive, trusty steed that just always knows what you want, ideally, and then you can easily adjust that as needed. So we want to be as close to like a mind meld with the car as possible. Yeah.
Oh, hi. My name is Kevin. I have the Model S since 13. And my question is about autopilot and the use of LiDAR. As we all know that Tesla probably is the company alone that not using LiDAR, where all other vendors using it. So as autonomous driving is close to reality, I think inevitably there will be a showdown on which approach will be more superior. Mm-hmm. So what do you think when that time will be?
Well, I think LiDAR will be seen as what LiDAR tends to drive companies to do is to go to a local maximum in terms of autopilot capability or autonomous driving capability, and LiDAR ends up being like somewhat of a crutch. It's helpful to get almost there, but if you rely on it, you will never actually get there. Is my opinion. So you have to make vision work extremely well in order to achieve true self-driving. Once you've made vision work extremely well, LiDAR is really unnecessary. It's not really adding anything. We do have sophisticated sonar, like ultrasonic sensors around the vehicle for near field. And we do have a forward radar system, which is useful for detecting objects even in fog, sort of snow, rain, like low visibility conditions where you can't see what's going on. And that's also a case where LiDAR is ineffective because LiDAR is an active photon generator in the visible spectrum. This doesn't make sense to me because you have a massive amount of incoming photons in the visible spectrum normally. So if you're going to do active photon generation, the 400 to 700 nanometers is the wrong wavelength, or on that order is wrong wavelength. You really want to be aiming for something that's around a 4 millimeter wavelength because that is occlusion penetrating.
We're two-time Tesla Model S owners and also stockholders. Question about JB. Every SEC filing has always included JB as a key man, and he was suddenly dropped off in the Q1 filing, so a little concerned about JB.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And
that was maybe accidental, sorry.
And
I didn't even know that was the case.
And is there a path?
I have no idea why.
We just made it more generic.
Oh.
Yeah, the intent was to make it more generic, the risk factor. There was no intended or unintended implication behind it. JB, we love you. We want you.
Sorry, and one last one, which is the Tesla's energy storage business is still running double-digit gross margins negative, it looks like, even though you've managed to deliver a lot more megawatt hours. Can you talk about the pathway to getting a profit out of that business, please?
Yeah, well, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, definitely we expect our storage business to turn significantly positive, and our goal is to have the same level of gross margin as the automotive business. And as our volume scale and as we have more Powerwalls out there and our manufacturing efficiencies come in, we definitely expect that you'll see a big change and a positive trend in that every quarter into 2019.
Yeah, we're aiming for essentially about the same gross margin level as in the cars, which is sort of a 20 to 30% gross margin for all of the energy products. It's necessarily during as you ramp up production, it ends up being it's negative just as it was for Model 3 and Model S and X, but probably later this year or certainly early next, we should be in the 20 to 30% gross margin level for energy storage.
Hi, thanks for a shot on the conference call, by the way. And my question was just surrounding, as a long-term investor, I hate to say this, but I feel like my trust in Tesla's timelines sort of eroded a little bit with the Model 3 ramp. So should I keep discounting things on Elon time, or have you learned anything about this?
I think I do have like an issue with time. It's like, yeah. It's been true since my brother's here. I was like, I have a condition. I don't know. My brother used to, like when we were catching the bus to school, he would lie to me about the time. And he always says like, or sometimes says like earlier than it actually was. And then I get there slightly after that. and then we'd actually be able to catch the bus. So this is something I'm trying to get better at. I'm a sort of naturally optimistic person, which I would not have probably done cars or rockets if I was not. So I'm trying to recalibrate these estimates. Yeah. Try to recalibrate as much as possible. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably put some sandbag on future dates. That's probably wise. But I kind of say when I think it can occur, but then I'm typically optimistic about these things. But maybe hopefully less optimistic over time. So, yeah. Like, it pretty much always happens, but not exactly on the time frame. So.
Hey, Elon, we're about 15 minutes over 1 hour. Do you want to take maybe a couple more?
Yeah, maybe a couple more questions from each side.
Okay.
Sure.
Hello, Mr. Musk. My name is Alex Perez. I really like your jacket today, and so it kind of got me thinking, has Tesla ever thought about going into the motorcycle business?
Yeah, I actually used to ride motorcycles when I was a kid, and I was like dirt biking for like 8 years or something, and then had a road bike until I was 17 and was almost killed by a truck. So we're not going to do motorcycles.
Hi, Mr. Musk. My name is Sonia, and my mom has a Model 3, and my dad has a Model S, and I have one share. So I've noticed that whenever my mom is like kind of going a little bit too fast to like approaching a car at a stop sign, the Tesla beeps pretty loudly to kind of warn like, hey, you're going to hit that. I was wondering, like, are you guys thinking about developing a mode where you like drivers could choose to turn it on, and then if a Tesla detected that it was approaching something quickly or was going to crash, it would like gradually slow down a little bit? So best case scenario, if the driver takes control, it doesn't really matter. Worst case scenario, and they crash, it decelerates, so it's not as bad.
It does actually have, there's automatic emergency braking. And I think what you're saying is like, instead of like last minute kind of dramatic slow down, maybe slow down sooner but less dramatically. And that is something that will occur with the latest versions of autopilot. So it will decrease speed proportionate to the confidence level. We want to do that in a way that's not annoying to people, like the car isn't slowing down a lot. But so it's really a delicate balance between not annoying people so that they want to turn it off, but also being safe. For autopilot, I think the improvements are going to be really quite dramatic over the next several months. The system is intended to change speed proportionate to its confidence in going forward. But in order to do so, we had to improve the sophistication of the autopilot neural net and the heuristics that go with it, so it just didn't annoy the hell out of people. Because there are many times where the car thinks it should slow down, but actually not really. And that would just drive people crazy. So I do think what you're getting at is something that you'll see play out with the versions of autopilot that are deploying later this year, and including the one that's coming out this week. Thanks.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to personally thank Elon, JB, Franz, Deepak, good to have you back. Tim, Emily, Vinny, Andrew, the people at Tesla who I don't know by name, the proud owner of an early 2012 Model S, very different than the Model 3 that my dad recently got. His first new car, he's pretty perplexed and amazed by it. I actually drove that from New Jersey to Richmond, probably could have skipped supercharging entirely, charged the car for, I think it was maybe about 20 minutes and continued the trip. And the car was actually telling me that I was ready to go before I was done eating the sandwich that I picked up.
Cool.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. Is there a possibility to get a business card for the guy to your left? Because I wanted to tell him about a company this man's been working on, disruptive technology that you're already indirectly using, and wanted an opportunity to speak with you about it further. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we'll certainly take the business card, and always looking to investigate interesting opportunities to improve the car. One thing I think we haven't been good at educating people on is that the Model S and X but especially the Model S, has improved very dramatically from 2012. So we're arguably on version 3 or 4 of the Model S right now. So it's really a gigantic improvement in Model S today versus Model S of 2012 when we first started production. I really encourage anyone who's got an early Model S to test drive the current version. I think you'll be blown away by how much it's improved. All right, I think that might be the last question. All right.
I will soon be driving around in Model 3. I'm curious you mentioned earlier that during production, it's people first and automation later slowly. What kind of considerations prompted to do otherwise when you started the Model 3 production? Can you talk about that?
I think we're just overconfident about the degree of automation that was possible. We did rely quite a bit on tier 1 manufacturing automation integrators. And a couple of those things really didn't work out at all. And now we're really going to internalize all tier 1 manufacturing systems at Tesla. So we'll have a lot of suppliers, but they'll be at the tier 2 and tier 3 level. All right, thanks very much for coming.